the only way that those governments knew how to do it would have been to borrow. And so why, precisely, my friend. So while you may get improved water, you get more debt with it. And when you get more debt, inevitably, you must get more taxes. So you will get budgets coming with more taxes. Now, we have made a commitment that we're going to run the economy in such a way that we care about you, that we don't place a burden on you. And so we are going to find the creative ways of making these investments so that these investments do not become a burden on you. We are doing this, and we have read a budget where there are no new taxes to fund any of the investments that we are making in infrastructure. This has to be said, because if it is not said, people will run away with unreasonable critique of the performance of the government. We have been this way before. And if it is one thing that we must do, we must learn from our past. So, the western communities of Kingston and St. Andrew will benefit from this. They will now have an adequate source of water. Another critical project that I must mention is the Forest Hills Distribution Network upgrade, which will be happening in parallel with this project to ensure benefits to the people of West Rural St. Andrew, that is Red Hills to Cooper's Hill, which have faced chronic water issues for certainly as long as I've been alive. I must also mention the Morosco Road Wells Rehabilitation Project, which will be commissioned shortly, and this combination of project investments will ensure that we will be well on our way to achieving water resilience in the Kingston and St. Andrew metropolitan area, Portmore, and St. Catherine prior to 2030. This will also diversify our resources and reduce reliance on the Hermitage Dam and the Mona Reservoir, which, by the way, I should point out, the Mona Reservoir is over 50 years old, about over 60 years, well, much older than that, over 70 years old. That was built by the colonial government, and that is what has carried us for many decades. We will have to make some new investments in the Mona Dam. We are going to do a special investment there, which Minister Samuda spoke about, which is the implementation of a solar project. And that will give electricity to drive the treatment plant, which will reduce the cost to the NWC. The Hermitage Dam is close to 100 years old. Close to 100 years old. Any infrastructure like that must go through a series of routine maintenance and upgrades. So we are examining how to treat with that infrastructure. It's critical to our water network, so it is likely that the next big announcement you hear about water is something to do with the Hermitage Dam and how to improve that dam so that it will last us for another 100 years. These are the levels of investments that we are making to ensure that we have water resiliency in our system. The overall estimated project cost is 77 million United States dollars, or 12 billion Jamaican dollars. This is a massive project. Since the announcement of this modality for executing the project, that is the PPP modality, when we signed the contract in November 2022, there has been some debate regarding the private sector involvement in public infrastructure like this project. And I know that there are many Jamaicans who, when they hear private sector involvement in the delivery of public good, they are automatically concerned. I remember when I announced a few months ago that we're going to seek to have private sector involved in garbage collection, in municipal waste collection. There was people saying, oh, are we going to be charged? There are many different models in which we can incorporate the efficiency of private sector operations without the private sector directly interfacing with the public. So for the public, you will see, you will not be charged by an independent entity of the public service. No, the public service maintains the forward face of the service delivery, but in the background, the private sector operates. So the access for which people worry about, that access will be maintained. You won't have to worry about having to negotiate with a private person for the provision of a public. No, that's not the intention. What we want to do is to get the innovation, the good management, the good business practices of private sector involved in the production of the service. The government continues to be the front end of the distribution of the service. So the public won't have to worry. What the public will see is an improvement in service. What the government gets is a reduction in its cost of operation. Because let's face it, you know, governments aren't set up really to specifically manage every single operation of, for example, water treatment. No matter how good you are as a public sector, you will end up with all kinds of inefficiencies, where it is better that the government insulates itself from those inefficiencies and let the private sector deal with it. The role of the government, therefore, becomes to ensure that the service standard is maintained. So government becomes a proper regulator on your behalf. And that's the model that we will have to pursue. So I want to reassure Jamaicans that you're not going to see any increase in costs. In fact, it is highly likely that your costs will go down and your service will improve. So let's discuss some of the issues that would have crossed the minds of the public. Now, generally, there are two methods by which government may finance public infrastructure, either through public financing, that is direct use of the nation's resources, or through public-private partnerships using private financing. Government engaging private investors to undertake capital expenditure for specific projects. And that's what this project is. While public financing is self-explanatory, with private financing, this is usually done by way of project finance, where a special purpose vehicle is created by the private investors to deliver a particular infrastructure project. The private investors have the responsibility of raising funds, and they contract with the government to design, build, operate, and maintain the asset. The private investors, at the end of the contract period, transfer the assets to the government at no additional cost. This project is being financed in that way, and that is why we say this is a public-private partnership. At the end of the financial life of the project, it will be handed over to the government. At that point in time, the government can decide to operate it. The government can decide to make more investments in it, to expand it, to upgrade it, and it may very well go to another public-private partnership for its operations. So the next question is, who are the participants in the Rio Cobre Public-Private Partnership Project? The Rio Cobre Water Limited is a special purpose vehicle incorporated to build, operate, and manage the water treatment plant, and comprises the following partners: Vinci Construction Group, Grand Projects, a member of the Vinci Group, which is among the largest construction groups in the world, operating in over 100 countries. The company has been involved in several major engineering projects and construction projects around the world, and has been in Jamaica since 1999, where they implemented several large-scale water projects including projects along the Rio Cobre here. Then there is the Jamaica Producers Group Limited, a diversified multinational group focused on Caribbean logistics and global specialty foods, which is publicly listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And then there is the EPLI Limited, an investment company focused on credit, real estate, and infrastructure opportunities in the Caribbean, also a listed company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The arrangers of the deal are Sagicor Jamaica Limited, Proparco, and IDB Invest. These entities arrange the financing required to construct the project. Another question that may be on the minds of the public is, will the Rio Cobre project result in increased cost to customers? I had said that the NWC, as a prescribed utility service regulated by the OUR, and is permitted to charge customers at the rate approved by the OUR. So in effect, there can be no rate increase spurred by the PPP. Any rate increase must go through the regular process of the OUR. Furthermore, the Rio Cobre Water Limited would also be regulated by the OUR under license. As such, any charge to the NWC by the Rio Cobre Water Limited must be approved by the OUR. This is no different from how any other utility operates or is regulated. Another question that may also be on the minds of the public and the staff is, will the implementation of this project by the private sector result in staff layoffs at the NWC? The answer is no. The NWC staff will not be affected. This is an addition, not a replacement. The private consortium will produce and deliver the desired quantity and quality of water to the NWC distribution network. Existing staff operating our water supply network within the area will continue to do so. The water treatment plant will have its own independent staff and will be under the management and control of the Rio Cobre Water Limited. I wish to congratulate all who made this morning's activity possible. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Permanent Secretary Arlene Williams is here, and former Permanent Secretary, now Cabinet Secretary Audrey Sewell, both worked on the project, and I want to thank you for your effort in having this project come to fruition. The NWC is here, led by the chairman, the Vinci Construction Group, EPLI, and Jamaica Producers. I also want to acknowledge the Development Bank of Jamaica, who led the entire enterprise to this point, the Sagicor Group, Proparco, and IDB Invest for their role in the financing of this important project that will benefit our people. Public-private partnerships like this one are so valuable for the growth of our economy, which creates the means by which we improve the lives of our people. The NWC says water is life, and we continuously work to improve the lives of our people. The government has been very strategic and successful in partnering with the private sector and attracting private capital to develop critical public infrastructure. We have successfully used PPPs to develop our airport and seaports and our roads, in power generation, in water, in the provision of housing, and in other areas. We plan to continue to expand the use of PPPs in other areas, such as national security, health, and education. As I have often said, but it is worth repeating, the government cannot do it alone. We need all hands on deck. As I close my presentation, I will say to my good friend Natalie, the government has made an allocation of $150 million in the first instance to be used for critical, local, secondary, and possibly some community roads. There is another allocation which will be done on a prorated basis, meaning that depending on the number of miles of roads that you have relative to the miles of roads in Jamaica, you will get an allocation relative to that. So you could possibly get another 150 million. So each constituency could get up to 300 million. Now, I want all of you who are listening, everyone who is listening, who you might be today facing challenges about the road in your area. You get up every day, you drop in pothole, you vex. You know, in 2003, a good friend of ours, and I say ours, said Jamaica will be free by 2003. The struggle, Natalie, the struggle to improve our roads has been an ongoing struggle. But no government has ever been in the position that this government has put itself in to actually be able to repair roads. You tell me when in the budget, this is not now a promise, this is in the budget that has been read, that $300 million per constituency has been allocated. Now, even if we could snap our fingers and all roads are repaired, it still couldn't be done in 1 year. We will never be able to repair all our roads that are in need of repair in one budget year. We need to identify the roads. Then it needs to go through a process of ensuring that whatever money we are spending on those roads makes sense. That is called the public investment process. Then once we said, all right, the road that we identified, it makes sense to spend the money on it, then we go through a process called procurement. Who gets to fix the road? And then when that is done, the road has to actually be fixed. Tractors have to be mobilized to dig up the road, to lay the surface. All of that takes time. We've presented a budget where we have identified the financing. We have put in place a process of consultation. So I would urge you, Member of Parliament, to consult with your constituents to come up with the priority list. And I'm sure, based upon what I have seen, that the road that we drove on would be a priority. Use that process. Let's get that road fixed this year. Next year, we get another set fixed. And then next year, we get another set fixed. What has changed, my Jamaican family, is the process by which government can respond to your needs. No government has ever been in that position, because if they even try to do it, the only way they could do it would be to borrow. And then when they borrow, they come back and put more tax on you. And then when they come back and put more tax, they say, you know what? Let's put a wage freeze. And then all the dreams and hopes are shattered. We go into a political cycle, and then people change. No, you made a change for a government who will run the economy well, not be a burden on you, and then be caring enough to take those dividends from the good governance and the good management and spend it back on your roads. Not 1 year, but for budget years to come, to solve these problems that should have been dealt with 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. They are being dealt with now. So, Natalie, the one thing that I will take from your presentation, which I always agreed with, because when you drive along the flat bridge, you can see the communities having to walk to go to the flat bridge, and they use the flat bridge to cross, which is quite dangerous. So I agree with you that what you should now do, Natalie, in this new dispensation of how the country is run, is that I would invite you to develop a project. You have the project developed? Well then, you developed it in your time. We will be happy to implement it for you, Natalie. We will be happy to get it done for you. So, Natalie, please, don't write to me as Prime Minister. Write to me as a Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation with responsibility for works and other things. Send the project over. Let us look at it. Let us look at it. And this is why it's very important, because my friend Natalie is saying politics. You know what we have done to avoid that criticism, which is quite unfortunate? The government can spend no money on capital unless it goes through the public investment process. You know how we suffered for that? By the Troy Bridge. It would have been good politics for the government of the day to just take up the money and fix the Troy Bridge. You wouldn't say it is politics, right? Because that would be hidden by the fact that the people wanted the bridge to be able to cross. But it is inherently a political act. We have insulated the expenditure of public resources by instituting this business called public investment assessment. So any project that is going to come must go through that investment assessment. And it's not led by us. The greatest complaint I have from politicians on both sides is the time it takes in public investment assessment and the time it takes in procurement. So, look, you know what has happened? The people are arguing in 2010, 2009, 2020, 2009 and 2000 Jamaica, the old Jamaica. The new Jamaica now has so many institutions in place to protect public expenditure and ensure that we make the right decisions. We are in Jamaica 2.0 and we are building it out every single day. Bear in mind as I close, this project was developed by Minister Chang in 2009. We lost the election in 2011. Developed the project, ready to execute. And we are only now able, after almost, 15 years, to have the project done. Let's just reflect on that. And who is doing it? You know, I said I've spent almost 70% of my time treating with projects that were started by previous administrations, that they didn't have either the technical capabilities to carry through, the implementation capability, or the financial wherewithal. I don't come here, Natalie, telling you that all the infrastructure work and everything that we're doing is my original idea. No. I am doing the job that should have been done decades ago. That's what we're doing. And I really hope that the Jamaican people spend the time to honestly reflect on the situation that exists. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been such a wonderful audience. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, a comprehensive presentation by the Prime Minister giving historic, economic, and social context. At this time, I invite the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation to deliver the vote of thanks and make a special presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Indeed, it is a good day for us all to be here. And so, it is with a profound sense of gratitude that I stand before you today to extend the official vote of thanks on this rather momentous occasion. I thank God for the resources, including water, a source of life, sustenance, and beauty that He so freely gives to us. Water holds paramount importance in shaping the world we inhabit. And so, as Jamaicans, it is significant that we are able to counter the water challenges with solutions like this content Rio Cobre water treatment plant. We salute and reflect on the inputs of all the persons who participated here today. First, let me thank you, Madam MacLeod, for so skillfully leading us. Pastor Brooks, for the sincere prayers that set the tone for our ceremony. As he led us into prayer, he reminded us of the power of united prayer. And I know that Jamaicans are really godly people and God-fearing persons. And so, we thank you so much, Pastor Brooks. We also want to thank you, Sir Gladstone Cunningham, on behalf of the acting president, Mr. Kevin Carr, for the warm welcome that you extended to all of us, which showed the commitment of the NWC's team. And so we thank you, sir. For your remarks, Chairman Shaw of the NWC, you showed that the route to success is a long one, but with careful balance of good management and forward thinking, we can achieve our goals. We want to say thanks to the Vinci teams and their private partners, the private sector partners, who have the risk to deliver this very historic project. Mr. Timothy Delabrie, from the Vinci Grand Projet, we thank you so much. We thank you too, Sir David Wan, Acting Managing Director from the Development Bank of Jamaica. I see you here, and other team members. MP Nita Garvey, thanks for your contribution to this ceremony. The construction teams indeed look forward to working with you and your constituents in making this project a success. And I'm sure Timothy will appreciate the roasted breadfruit that you promised. To the hard-working Senator, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, your guidance in this water portfolio has been tremendous. Thank you for your leadership. To the young presenters from the Simon Content Primary and Infant School, your budding talent was obvious today, and we thank both the teachers and these youngsters for their practice skill, and of course it was interspersed with humor. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we shared in another discourse from the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, Prime Minister. And once again, Prime Minister, we are left excited at the prospect of continued growth. And of course, we are sobered by the commitment it requires from us as a people. Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you for allaying the many fears about price increases and staff layoffs. We thank you for allaying those fears that this will not necessarily happen. Sincere thanks to the organizers of this event for their efforts in planning and executing with such precision and dedication. We thank you. Thanks to you all who have taken the time to join us today. Board chairmen and members of the NWC board, I see you here. Staff from the Central Ministry, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and indeed the staff from the National Water Commission. You have turned out in your numbers, and we thank you. This reflects, I think, your shared commitment to addressing the challenges facing our water ecosystems and working towards innovative solutions for a sustainable future. We also express gratitude to our esteemed government ministers, to members of the diplomatic corps and the technical experts who have shared their invaluable insights and knowledge on the various dimensions of the process that has led to the development of this project. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we wish to pause for a minute to salute two special persons whose contributions must be acknowledged. And so, Prime Minister, may I invite you to step forward to make a presentation. We call the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang forward as Prime Minister presents a token to you. Thank you, Prime Minister, and thank you, Deputy Prime Minister, for your continued work and your service. And now I invite the Honorable Audrey V. Sewell to step forward as we make this presentation. And I invite you, Senator, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, to step forward to make this presentation. Thank you so much, Senator, and thank you, Cabinet Secretary and former Permanent Secretary. We thank you so much. As Prime Minister would have said in his speech, this project has been a long time in coming, and so it is very fitting, I think, for us to acknowledge those persons who would have worked very, very hard to get us to this point. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we leave from here today, let us pledge to protect our water resources, thereby enhancing our continued economic growth. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you, Permanent Secretary. We are essentially at the end of the formal program, and we will move now to the groundbreaking, which I'm advised is just a little up the road. And for those of us who will not be listed here, you'll be able to watch it on the screen, and the following persons will make their way to the groundbreaking. Prime Minister Holness, Minister Chang, Mr. Glaister Cunningham, Mr. Shaw, MP Nita Garvey, Mr. Timothy Delbar, Ms. Tracy Ann Spence of Sagicor, representative of the IDB, PS Arlene Williams, and CABSEC Sewell. So for the rest of us, we'll remain under the tents, and we will be able to watch it on the display screens, and the persons I have listed, led by the Prime Minister, will make their way to the groundbreaking site.
Timothy. How are you, sir? How are you? Timothy, my friend. You got a long haul.
I remember the first day we came here.
Yes, it was. What was it? The first day we came.
I'm not the one.
Yes. Yeah, for the road. Correct, the highway to take over the block. We had a lot on that side of the road. Yeah, and luckily we came over here.
For her. I'm sure, sir. Hi, how are you? Tracy Spence, Sergeant Cora.
Yeah, man. Abdul. Oh, yeah. Find Delano. Find Delano.
You already put it on the side.
Walk behind me. Walk behind me.
Yeah. How much people are breaking? Something moving. Remember that one we had to check that part of the is that a little green? Have you walked to the intake site yet?
Oui, je vais te trouver. Alors attends, il est où Delano?
We're not for us, we're not for the community, you know, we just let them cover it.
What is it? All right, ready? Come on, come on. I'm there, are you? I'm there. I'm live, guys.
Richie! Oh, I must set them up, I must set them up.
Hold on, Rastaman.
Rastaman! Stand there, sir. Richie!
Security, back up, security, back up, security, back up.
Back up. You can't say this. You back up.
All the line need to go up some more. So you realize how wide the line is, right? People can even step back and try to get edge of the line. Come on.
Ready? Yes, sir. All right, we're going to, after 3, we're going to lift. I'm going to turn to the right, but we're going to lift, pause for 2 seconds.
Hold on, sir, hold on. Anything you want to do, God, son.
Ready? After 3.
Pull back in the way. All right. Nobody wants to take it off for sure.
All right. Ready? After 3, 1, 2, 3, lift, open, pass, move, turn to the right.
Prime Minister, God send you to Jamaica burden to release it.
I have to go walk across the river. I have to go across the river back.
God send you to release Jamaica burden.
Go walk across the river. Oh, we're not letting talk. But I'm like a central village. Why are you talking now?
It's the holiness struggle. Our one is the goal is dive on the Bagua God. Altia Cole, they call me champion bubbler. Nice. Bubbler stand. How many dogs are there?
Honorable Prime Minister, God send him Prime Minister. God send you a Jamaica. God send you to clear the burden what you have at Jamaica. Quick. Quick. One whole lady step on north. All right, God send this man up to release your Jamaica.
That's true.
You take a burden from 30
this
to
is
50 years ago.
This way.
Bro, you do it from 50 years ago, you solve it now.
That's good. The road, my boy.
All right. Come in, Honorable.